I'm Mike Michael, and welcome back to the show. I know it's been a while. Been super busy. I've been volunteering at the Badger Games for Kids 4, and what we've been doing is we've been raising money. Typically, the proceeds of the cheese curds, macaroni and cheese, peanuts, soda we sell is donated back to the Kids 4 program.
Kids 4.
And so far, I think we've raised, what, $1,000? And I think we have 5 more games to go. So that is going excellent. And thank you for everybody that's been volunteering. And if you'd like to get involved, actually get a hold of Jeff here, Jeff Robinson, at the Sun Prairie Media. And he will, because they're always looking for more volunteers. And if you're not working in our booth, they'll put you in another one. I go, it's a nice way to get into the game. And I just love the energy there. It's great. Everybody's, glad to be there. Everybody's in red. The tunes are cranked. And if you've never been to a Badger game and you want to get in and see what it's about, that's a good avenue in which way to get in there. Laura's off today, so Lisa Wolf is so nice and kind to sit in with me and hang out.
Oh my gosh.
So today we're going to be talking about lighting. And to me, lighting is very important, because it's visual. Like when you go somewhere, especially like public bathrooms or at Walmart or wherever, like where you don't look good and you're like, gosh, like, am I sick? Or what's wrong with me? Why is my color off? It's the lighting, and that can take place in your house, in your residential space, in commercial spaces. And so actually we have Ingrid McMasters on today. And she is formerly from Sun Prairie, and she was actually part of the Kids 4 program. So it is so nice to have her back. We brought her back to Sun Prairie. And I call her a luminologist, and she works for Enterprise Lighting. So she does more commercial work, but she knows everything about light bulbs, theater, whatnot. So if you're an engineer out there and you're looking for a lighting specialist, I would definitely look up Ingrid, because she knows exactly what she's talking about and how to do it, and she's always up on the latest and the hottest lights. Because I know they're changing so fast that you literally need to be dialed in and get the information as it changes, because what was 2 days ago is different now, because like some things are on like the 4th, 5th, 6th generation of lights already. And that light came out a year ago. So whenever you see like, what is it, the 4G, it means the 4th generation, 5G means the 5th generation of that light. So Ingrid, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? And thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here. Well, my background is lighting, and I was a lighting designer for about 13 years and have recently changed over into sales, and am also a lighting educator over at Madison College, which is how we met.
Right.
So
exactly.
Yeah. So
so I have her in class. Well, she has me in class. So.
But your grade does not depend on this today.
Right, no, it doesn't.
No.
So I still have to do the work like everybody else. But
so as far as talking about lighting, you're right. It really does impact the way that we see our world and whether or not a space looks beautiful or glary, and we choose what it is that we want to light. Now, for your home, you might notice that recently with using things like compact fluorescent light bulbs, that you notice that the colors and the depth, the quality of light just don't look the same as what you're used to. And we talked about this quite a bit in class. This has a little bit to do with color temperature. So if you look at the color temperature scale, what it's trying to show you is that light quality, when we're talking about white light, can change.
You're talking about the Kelvin scale, right?
The Kelvin scale, yes. So what that's based off of is if you take a black piece of metal and like iron, and you start heating it up at the very low temperatures, because color temperature is a literal physical temperature.
Right.
At the low temperatures, it's going to burn really warm. So when you see a piece of metal heating up, it's going to be red first, and orange and yellow, and then eventually when it gets really, really hot, it's going to be white hot. And white hot is what we're talking about with the color temperature scale. But when we're in that cooler portion of the white hot, it's going to be in the red and yellow tones, which is what an incandescent or a halogen source would be. When we get up into the cooler color temperatures, which is around 5,000 K or so, then it's going to feel a bit bluer, more like daylight sunlight. So if
Right.
you
Okay, well, just like in layman's terms, like the Kelvin scale runs from what, 1,000 to 10,000?
About that, yes. And it basically is telling you all the different colors of a white light, because they can
okay.
all be perceived as white if it is the only light in the room. The only time you actually perceive a color temperature is when you have contrasting color temperatures in the same space.
Okay, and then I also know, like you mentioned that white light, when they talk about perfect light, it's actually all the colors in the light spectrum that come together. Kind of like, that the cover of the Pink Floyd album, when all the colors come in and then
Dark
they
Side
come
of
out
the
as a
Moon.
white light.
Yeah,
Dark
Dark Side
Side
of the Moon. Yeah.
right.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
it's the opposite of the color wheel, because when you mix all the colors together, you get black. But with light, when you mix them all together, you get white. So with color temperature, I think that it's good to know. I would like to know, like, where the warm light is, like, the light that we're used to, and to what the complex fluorescent lights are offering now is why we see blue. I would like to keep it like in the, like, what they would need to see on a light bulb itself. Like, if they're looking for a warm light, what number are they
Sure.
looking for?
If you want to match something like candlelight, very romantic and
Right.
warm, that's going to be around the 1800 to 2200 range, but that can also be perceived as very amber or yellow. It does not render blues very well at all, but it renders general skin tones really nicely, and we all kind of look nicer under that
Right.
warmer light color.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about incandescent, the traditional incandescent with the filament on the inside, sometimes it comes clear and sometimes it comes with an inside frost on it so it's not as glary. That traditional light bulb, the hot one that's 60 watts and 100 watts, those are going to be around 2700 Kelvin.
See, like, I like to call those like the Edison originals.
Correct, yeah.
Where you can see the filament burning inside, like the yellow glow.
Yep. Yep.
Because when I think of those lights, I always think of like a earlier time period. Like you're peeking through somebody's like window on
Sepia
Christmas,
tone,
and
yeah.
and it's all nice and warm and cozy. I mean, that's what I want. I don't want to be living under like
Like office lighting.
jail.
Jail lighting.
Morgues,
Yeah. No wonder they're depressed. I mean, I think lighting can affect your health, or
absolutely.
and your
it can.
attitude, and like keep it. I want to look good. I don't want to.
Yeah, but having said that, when we get up into the middle and higher color temperatures, the 3000 K is more of the halogen, which would be the more contemporary version of incandescent. It's brighter, it's whiter, it's more energy efficient, and we'll look at some of those light bulbs in a few minutes here. But when we get into the really cooler color temperatures, the 5000 K, I have found that people with aging eyes do prefer that, because what happens when your eyes get older, above the age of 40, and older than that, your corneas start to yellow. And when your corneas yellow, you seek more blue light. And so you really want to have, I find that people in their 70s and older especially really do appreciate a 5000 K light source and above.
Wow, that's interesting.
5,000.
Which is very blue
Very
to the general population, yeah.
Right, but they're old, so that's okay.
Oh, wow.
Well, I mean, they already look white and pasty, so.
Well,
Don't they? I mean, I would think.
Like
I don't want,
what's interesting is that color temperature,
lay out in the sun
in
and
my
then go
mind,
under a
color
blue light.
temperature is extremely personal. People like certain things. It's like me saying you have to have milk over soda because it's healthier for you. I can tell you that information, but it
Right.
doesn't mean that that's what you're going to enjoy. Same with like cotton versus silk and what you're going to wear.
Right.
Color temperature to me is a matter of opinion and what people enjoy, as long as they're an informed consumer and you know what it is that you're looking for.
So, okay, so like just in real basic terms, what would you suggest for someone that likes a warmer glow through their home? Maybe they're like from like 40 to 60, where there were only incandescent lights. I mean, there were your fluorescent lights that look like, ringworm, that they had hanging on your ceiling. But, like, what color temperature would you recommend, and dimmable switching and in each one of the light bulb categories?
Well,
So would it be a 60 watt in the incandescent?
are we so if we're talking incandescent, this could be very complex, so we could be talking about this for quite some time. If you're just looking to replace the lamps that we have right now, which maybe we should talk about what you have in the house,
Right.
and identify that, and then like go on to what to look for in buying the product. So that you know what to look for. But if you're trying to match incandescent and you're going with another light source, whether it be fluorescent or LED, the 2700 Kelvin is going to be closest to your incandescent. But if you want something that feels a little bit more like daylight, you're going to be more towards the 5000 K.
Okay.
Interesting.
So, yeah, and then like is it the compact fluorescents, or that you can't dim them all the way down? They'll just shut off?
Correct, yes. And usually the dimming for compact fluorescent isn't as smooth. What happens when you dim an incandescent is it warms up. So say it stays at 3000 K. As you're using less and less energy with that incandescent source, it turns warmer and warmer and warmer. So you're actually at the low end, you're at about 1800 K.
Right.
When you're really dimming down an incandescent. LEDs and fluorescents don't do that. They stay the same color temperature. Specifically, fluorescents will not change color temperature, and that's why I don't like using them in a restaurant, a living room, a sanctuary, something like that, where you want it to be really soft and warm when you get to those low light levels.
It's interesting that you're mentioning the rooms, the living room, sanctuary, things like that. And now here's a question that was burning in my mind since we started talking this morning. Bathroom lighting. What's the best lighting situation for especially us ladies, having bathroom lighting, wanting to feel good about the way we look, yet be aware of anything we need to cover up when we're doing our makeup.
Pluck.
Yeah, or pluck. Pluck especially is a tricky one.
Exactly.
So what is the best situation for that?
Well, you definitely want the light to come from the front. If the light comes from above, say it's a downlight, your sink and your countertop is going to look beautiful and glossy and clean. However, you're going to get these highlights and these shadows, which is going to be too intense. You're going to see dark circles under your eyes, which happens sometimes out in the real world anyway. So don't ever like plop yourself underneath a downlight because you won't look good. It's just the way it is. Yeah. But so the light wants to be soft and coming from the front, and that fills in the shadows. That helps you see everything that you want to see. You don't want the light coming from a surface mount fixture behind you, and that will fill in the shadows and give you a nice quality of light without being too glary. It should be kind of a frosted source. Now, having said that, the color temperature is extremely personal.
Sure.
I have found that ladies tend to prefer the warmer color temperatures, and men, especially older men, prefer the cooler color temperatures. My father has many 5000 K lamps in his bathroom, and I walk in there and they say, "Oh, this is, please, I don't want to be seen under this light," and he loves it because he can see to shave.
Oh,
So his visual acuity is better underneath that. It's not
Right.
as much about his physical appearance as it would be for maybe you and I.
Sure.
So it's really personal is what I'm getting at there.
Really personal. So you have to, the first tip is maybe to make sure you have those fixtures, the fixtures there, and then play around with the color temperature bulbs that you liked.
Yeah.
So,
I love
well, I know like a lot of people, like bathrooms have like the mounting like above the mirror. So is that wrong?
Well, it's inexpensive.
Well, okay.
So, so you know, it depends.
Right.
Two holes cost more than one.
Right.
So, you know, that it's just actually really simple math and not knowing any better. Also, if you have a 6-foot wide vanity, you have to cut a hole in the vanity to put in the mirror to put the sconces in. That can cause breakage. It's kind of a big deal to put it in. So really that 2 on either side works well for about a 36-inch maximum vanity or so, maybe 48 on a good day. But if you go up above, having the globe lights above, that circular globe that's frosted, you see that quite a bit. One, because it's inexpensive. Two, because it's very efficient because there's nothing covering up the light bulb. So all the lumens are getting out of that light bulb. And thirdly, did I say it's cheap? I think I said it's cheap. It's cheap.
It's cheap.
But
Okay.
they're hot. And typically, if you're using an incandescent that's 40 watts a piece, 40 times 60, 240 watts, that's a lot of wattage at a vanity.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
light.
Well, you can't even plug in your Q9 or blow dryer, you'll blow circuit.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully it's on
Your
a separate
CRI,
circuit.
you're like, oh,
Yeah.
what happened? I'm trying to put my makeup on.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Just don't run the toaster.
Right.
Power down the house, I gotta
Yeah.
get ready.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
It's all directed to the bathroom.
Right.
Well, I mean, you can put up, well, what about can lighting? Then would you recommend like a frosted floodlight in there in the bathroom?
I would do layering at that point. There's nothing wrong with having more than one light source in a room because
Okay.
it gives you the ability to change the way that room looks and how you look. Now, when you were talking about looking at yourself and making yourself up for the day, you might look great in front of your mirror at home, but then you
Right.
go to your office. And your office might have that cooler color temperature. It is very common to have a 4,000 plus color temperature in an office environment. So you might want to, even though you might not like the way it makes you look at home, you might want to put that color temperature in at home so that you can see what you're going to look like out in the real world.
That's a great idea. I think eventually what I'm going to have is this drawer full of bulbs. You know, if it's the weekend, I'm going to have the daylight, you know,
But you
balance.
can layer too. So maybe
Campfire
not,
lighting.
Right. Maybe not all. Yeah, we all look good in the dark. Let me tell you.
Well, you guys remember those lights? Because I remember my mother used to have her mirror where she'd get ready. You know, it had like the magnifying one and then the regular one. But you could change it from daylight. Because I remember it was blue, pink, and
yes,
orange or whatever.
yeah.
You know, like, oh, I'm going out tonight. And you'd crank it and bring all that, you know.
It's the same thing.
Oh, that takes
Yep.
me back.
Yeah,
That's
maybe
awesome.
you just need a full-length mirror next to the window.
That's the best. Would
Yeah.
you say daylight
If you're
is the
really
best
going to
light?
check, if you're going to check what you're going to look like, daylight is the best way to
Daylight
see
is the
yourself.
best way to see
Absolutely.
We all check what
Yes.
we look like.
So put a
Oh, yes.
skylight in your bathroom.
Oh, yeah.
Done. Yeah.
But yeah, layering light is fine. So say you have a beautiful guest bathroom or your powder room off of your kitchen. Generally, people aren't using that to do makeup or shaving or plucking or what have you. You want it to be cute and pretty to go with the rest of your house because
Right.
guests are visiting. So you have that beautiful glass sink that's raised bowl kind of thing, and it's really sparkly. That you might want to put with halogen spotlight on it because you want it to really glitter. You're going to look horrible underneath it, but that
Right.
sink's going to look phenomenal.
Yeah, but then you just like, oh.
So you can have sconces to fill
Right.
in. So the sink will still look great because you have the spotlight, but then you have sconces to fill in the light so you don't have that
Your
glare.
husband's like, how come you never go in that bathroom? Go. I like looking in there. I don't like going in there though.
Don't like using it. Just like
Because I don't
looking
want to look
at
in
it.
there. I don't want to catch myself in the mirror in there.
Right, right. So those are some awesome tips for bathroom, but I think we were talking before the show about food looking gross in your kitchen or
Right.
food looking appealing, maybe if you're having a dinner party or like a little cocktail party or something like that. What kind of lighting situations would you recommend for someone's dining area?
Sure. So again, layering lighting is a great way to address this. You might have a decorative fixture in the middle of the room, but you can't really expect that fixture with maybe 5 little candelabra incandescent light bulbs to light everybody nicely. I mean, I know I have the tailor's son sort of house where my lighting in my home is not ideal. And so my daughter, who's 14, is trying to do homework at our table where all I have is candelabra lamps up there. I live in an older home. I probably need to add some light fixtures in there, but I would prefer to have maybe 4 downlights in there to give some ambient general lighting. I can dim those down. I can brighten up the candelabra. Or maybe if you're starting from scratch, you could put some cove in that would have light to bounce up off the ceiling and fill in the light because, or the area. That decorative fixture generally is not going to provide all of your lighting needs for that application. So that's the dining area, and usually you'd have 1 or 2 zones on something that's designed for layered lighting at least. But you can do that also with table lamps. So maybe you have a little buffet and you could put 2 little table lamps on there and that will help fill in the area. And it's nice to have those on dimmers or maybe a 3-level switch, you know, click, click, click.
I'm like such a fan of like little lights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like I have one in my bathroom. I like to use them as night lights instead of like those little plug-ins. You know, it's only like a little 15-watt bulb or a 6-watt bulb or whatever it is. But I mean, you know, I just like that. I just like that glow. I think maybe it stems down from my mom because she would like throw scarves over the lampshades. Like she just hates bright light. You know what I mean? And
Don't do that. That starts fires.
Right. Well, you know, well, and then she's so worried. I wouldn't say she's worried about the electric bill, but she saw something on. Oh, you need to unplug everything. So everything was unplugged, and I got home and our lamps used to be on a switch, and so I'd walk in and I flip the switch. Well, she's also loves rearranging the furniture, and I came home and I had a couple the night before, and I was like. And I walked in and I'm banging into everything because it was pitch black in there. I couldn't even, and she likes the blinds closed, like, I don't know. I think she grew up like in the day of the peeping Toms. I don't know, but.
So you always want a little light.
No,
don't want a little light? You want it dark?
I just like everything.
Because he's
dim.
afraid of peeping Toms.
Dim.
Yeah. I mean, but I don't keep my shades closed or anything like that. But I like everything I like warm light.
Warm.
It just makes me feel better. I actually did a paper on ergonomics. So you could actually do this. It's like how to make your work atmosphere nicer. Like sitting on like one of those medicine balls or whatever they are. Whatever.
Sure, for the office.
Yeah.
Office
Actually,
life.
what I did is at school, I took one of the lamps and put it on my desk because it alleviated the glare off my screen, and it just gave my eyes a rest. And because it was a different light than that light, the LED is coming off there, or the fluorescent, and then the LED is coming off the screen. It just incorporated another light, and so my eyes were like more rejuvenated, and it was calmer, and I was more relaxed.
I love that you brought up
tell
glare.
Jeff to bring in a light,
I will.
or just bring one in.
Yeah. Glare
Look
is
at
like a really important factor in visual comfort with lighting.
Right.
And a lot of times people won't notice that they're actually seeing a reflection in their screen. So next time you are sitting at your computer at home, take a look at your screen and see if you can see a window behind you or a light fixture in the ceiling or something like that. And if you can see that, subconsciously your eye is focusing on that and what's on the screen. And that image that is reflected is actually twice the distance behind you. So your eye is focusing on a focal point depth into the screen and what's on the screen. So it causes headaches. So what you want to do, what you want to do is have your screen perpendicular to the window. You don't want to face the window with the screen because you will get the glare from the direct window, and then the screen can't compete. Any man-made light source isn't going to compete with daylight. So, but if you have your back to the window, then you're going to see the window in the screen. So you really want your screen perpendicular to the window.
So that brings me to another question, because here in my situation at my workplace, which is here, we have this beautiful building. You've seen it. The library is a beautiful building, and it's got floor-to-ceiling windows, and we have some of those. One is behind my screen, and the other is, I'm sort of at an angle, and the other is kind of like at a 45 to my screen. Is there any kind of lighting that you can counteract? Like Mike was mentioning a desk lamp maybe, or do I just need to close the blinds? Because that would be a pity.
Well, and that's the thing, is that I think that you can't compete with daylight. You really can't. There's no man-made source that's going to do that. So you really need to modify your ergonomics and move so that you don't see that reflection. However, I really wish people would notice that you can have screens that don't go all the way, some sort of window shading that doesn't go all the way up to the top, because it is a shame to get rid of the daylight, but maybe we don't need the direct view to the outside at the same time. So there's a difference between a daylight window and a view window, and typically when it's 3.5 feet to about 8 feet, or a little less than 8 feet, that's your view window. It'd be great if we could have shades that just cover that up, like from the bottom up, or maybe you have something that is wall to wall that you can pull across, and you can still let that upper window, maybe the top foot and a half, 2 feet, be able to provide you with general lighting with the day lighting, and it'll be nice and soft and diffused, and your screen wouldn't see it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And it's free lighting from the sun.
Exactly.
You can turn
off the general lighting.
Yeah, we can turn it off.
But I would try a lamp. It worked for me.
Yeah.
I'll have to try a lamp.
Yeah, and I actually brought in my own light bulbs too. Like the other thing that really bothers me is like, okay, oh, there's so much.
There is so much. There is so much. We can talk about lighting for days.
It just came and just vomited out of my head. I'm like, oh my God. But no, like, okay, well, first of all, like the lighting here in town, and I actually, you know, it was kind of weird because I actually was with the mayor's wife, and we went down to do the orientation for the Badger game, and I was I didn't know who she was in the beginning. And I was telling her about like, oh God, you know, how they changed all the lighting downtown, you know, to that incandescent or not incandescent, but
the LED.
The LED, and it's just that super bright white, you know, save energy light bulb. And I'm like, but it takes away.
Soulless light.
Yeah, it just takes away from the town. I mean, it almost, to me, it almost, if you just looked like from here up and just looked at the lights in the town, you would think it was winter.
So
you know what I mean? It could be in the middle of summer, but it looks winter to me.
What you're seeing there,
it just seems cold.
All white LED light is made from a blue diode that is transferred through a phosphor. And that phosphor is what gives you the white light. Phosphors also block light coming out from it. So your most energy efficient LEDs are going to be bluish.
Right.
Because you're not blocking and you're not changing that color. So when we're looking at one of the first generations of LEDs, because Sun Prairie was an early adopter, which is a good thing. But when they did that, there weren't a whole lot of lighting quality metrics for exterior products. And so energy efficiency.
Many options, right?
Yes, there weren't many options, and there weren't many studies that showed which color temperatures and what type of diffusion and what type of reflectors we should use and louvers, etc. So when that went in, which it was a good application at the time for what was available,
right.
It was all about energy efficiency. And that's what a lot of municipalities are going to focus on, is the bottom dollar. What is my payback over the existing lighting? The most energy efficient is what they're going to go for. There have since been a lot of studies that say a warmer color temperature is more appropriate for an exterior application, but we can't hold that against the city for this, because it's been up there for
I'm not
a
holding
good
it
long
against
time
the city.
now. Yeah.
I'm not holding this against the city. Oh my God. This is my personal opinion. I mean, I'm talking about DeForest.
We're talking about a different
Cambridge.
town. Yeah. But that's true.
That's
that's something to really be well noted.
But
with
is there
LEDs,
anything?
everything is changing so rapidly that it's only getting better. But that doesn't mean that you don't adopt it now.
Well, is there anything out there now? Because I know like LEDs are changing so fast. Is there anything out there now that they actually could put in there to replace those? Just to warm up the town again?
That's a loaded question.
Okay.
The reason why I say that is I would have to actually look at the spec for that. The earlier versions were usually luminaire specific. And there may be something that could be swapped out there, but I would have to look at the very specifics of what that luminaire is to be able to answer that question appropriately.
Just like in a generalization, do you think it would be like almost at the same price point?
Well, that's an interesting question too. You're opening up all sorts of cans of worms here.
Well, I asked the
LED
hard
price
questions.
points have gone down significantly. When the first LED lamps were hitting the market for consumer use, we were looking at $20 plus, even $50 plus a light bulb. And now we're looking at about $10, which is considered a pretty good price point for LED
But they last
products.
like 5-10 years.
Yeah, and
So
it
it comes out
depends
to be about a 10
on the product, yeah.
half a cent a day.
Yeah. Well, should we talk about like the different types of light bulbs that you can replace or
would
Oh,
be
there's one more
wonderful.
thing I wanted to hit on was light pollution. There's light pollution out there. This guy that I know, he was an engineer, or he's an electrician, and he was an electrician for the city of Madison. You know, and Madison wants to make everybody happy. So they have these, what are the metallic hinge lights, or the sodium burning lights, you know, or mercury
The yellow
lights.
glow? The yellow glow is usually a high pressure sodium.
I think this was low pressure is white.
Low pressure is yellow, like yellow.
Well, I was at Walgreens last night, and whatever they've got up there is just like.
That's probably metal halide.
I had to put my sunglasses on.
Wow.
Well, I don't know.
Wow.
Well, it's kind of a weird part of town, so I figured they needed that light. But anyway, but if you call the city and let's say you have a mercury light or, one of the lights they use on their city lights, but it's putting a horrible wash on your house or too much light on your house, they will come in and change it out and dim it down for you because, that's called light pollution. I just thought there was
shining in your bedroom window or
right.
your kid's
There's
bedroom
actually,
window.
City of Madison, I don't believe Sun Prairie has a lighting ordinance. They might, but City of Madison has a lighting ordinance about light pollution that says you can't exceed a half-a-foot candle. I think it's, I should know this, 4 feet off your property, something like that.
Well, all those compact fluorescent lights are just beaming, But I mean, explain just a little bit about light pollution, and then we'll go into light bulbs.
Okay.
Or lamps.
Well, what's really cool about LEDs as far as light pollution goes is that we can control the optics of them so much better than we could with anything else. Fluorescents just give a blob of light, and it's just going to throw it out of the fixture. It really doesn't direct it to where you want it to be. Incandescence being a smaller light source, you could really control that. And HIDs, metal halide, you could control that pretty okay. But you would still get what's called kickback behind a pole if you had an area light outside, and that would splash some light on your neighbor's property. So you would get these boxes to go underneath the fixture called a house side shield, an external house side shield, and I'm sure you've seen them on parking lots and gas stations where you wanted it to be quiet light on the other side of the property line, but you need the bright light at the gas station. So they'd put these big things below the fixture. Well, nowadays, the LEDs for commercial lighting will actually have what's called an internal house side shield. So the LED, which is about the same size as my fingertip, as far as a little optical component, will have its own little house side shield inside of it. So I can design lights so that there's a cutoff almost right at the property line and throwing forward.
That's
Oh.
impressive. That's
Okay,
really
so
fantastic.
What is the definition of light pollution?
Well, it's basically when you are shooting light onto somebody else's property or up into the air and it's wasted light.
Oh, okay. So, light pollution. New term. It'll be fun to use around town. Like, oh my God, light pollution.
Well, you were talking about the very specific directionality of your LEDs that you can design lighting situations with, and I know that we're wanting to talk about some different types of light bulbs. Could you say a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I don't know if we showed the image yet of the traditional incandescent light bulb, if we could pull that up. What's typically in most homes with what we call an Edison-based socket. So that little screw base that you're seeing, that's called an Edison or a medium-based socket. And we have those all over our homes. They're all over the place. Commercially, we don't use those that much. But that's what we're trying to replace now. So if you were looking at that particular light bulb, you're looking at usually a 60 watt, 70 watt, 75 watt, 100 watt. And now we can replace those with an LED type lamp. But we had this little transitional period, say between 1980 and now, where we were saying, oh, we're trying to save energy. We want to switch over to compact fluorescence. So if you could pull up the compact fluorescence, this is what many of you might have in your homes. And they might go flicker, 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 buzz. And they have a softer quality of light, which does not produce any sparkle whatsoever because it's a very diffuse light. And a lot of times the color is not what we're expecting or wanting. And a lot of times if you have it in a cooler area, say a basement, a garage, or an outside lantern, if it's cold, it's not going to strike up to its full brightness for quite some time, if at all outside. And you'll notice if it's a cooler area in your home, it takes a while for that to warm up.
I have exactly that situation in a back porch mudroom area. In the winter, it takes probably a good 5 minutes between when I flip the switch and when the light is to whatever its full strength that it can get to is. So,
And if you're not going to be in
Kind of
that room, if you're
interesting.
just passing through, it's kind of useless,
right,
right?
right.
Yeah, so
You know what I think we should do first is actually identify like how to read a light bulb. You know, because
Sure.
like I know like in class you were telling us that watts really don't matter anymore because you can have a 2-watt light bulb that pushes out 3,500 lumens, and a 60-watt light bulb pushes out 6,500 lumens.
That's interesting. That's
So
what
you
I
get-
always look
so
at
we
the
need-
store is watts.
Yeah, but you
Yeah.
want to look at the lumens.
and you'll see
Okay.
what's
Of how
happening
much
now
light
with a
you're
lot
gonna
of the
get.
literature for consumer use. It will say equivalent to a 60-watt light bulb. But as we move forward into the future, a 60-watt light bulb shouldn't mean anything to anybody because we won't be using that. It's not a measurement of quantity of light like it used to be for us. So we're actually going to what is delivered lumens. And what's very interesting is that a manufacturer that I work with daily, last month they had an 8-watt version of an, I think it was a 650 lumen light bulb. And this month, it is a 7-watt version of the same thing. So we can't call it a wattage. We've got to call it by delivered lumens.
Okay.
So when she's talking about lumens, you're actually talking about the brightness of the light itself, right?
Correct.
Like
how
how many
much
can-
intensity is coming out of it.
How many foot candles you're getting?
Foot candles is a measurement once it hits the surface of, so lumens are what's in there. It's like taking a cup of water, you have a cup of water. But if you spill it across the table, it is dispersed over an area, so it's not going to be a cup across that entire area. So light is like that as well. So if you have a light source that is generally diffuse, all of those lumens go equally in every direction. But once you put a reflector behind it, those lumens are pressurized, kind of like putting water in a hose, and you get candelas, and those candelas are then how you figure out your foot candles. So the narrower, say you have an 800 lumen wide flood, it's not going to be as bright in the center as an 800 lumen narrow spot because you're funneling that light into a smaller area.
Okay. So let's say you had a 60-watt light bulb. How many lumens does that normally push out?
That's about 800 lumens.
Okay, so then if you're looking for a compact fluorescent light, or you want to find the same lumens, right?
Correct.
You know, because it could be 3 watts. Because I know like sometimes you ever have it like where you shut your lights off and it still glows
Yes.
because it still runs on that little bit of.
That and the phosphors are actually in an LED. The phosphors literally glow. They phosphoresce. So they're retaining a little bit of that energy, just like a glow-in-the-dark t-shirt would.
Right,
Okay.
and sometimes there's still a little energy in the socket. So that's why it kind of glows.
Okay. That's interesting.
Because it needs such a little amount of wattage. Yeah, it's weird.
It is really weird. It's really interesting. So if I'm at the store and I'm looking for a lamp for a 60-watt light bulb, eventually watts won't be a term.
It'll
They'll
be
be
lumens.
it'll be lumens. Now, are there lumens printed on the box
Yes,
somewhere
and actually if
now,
you pull
I
up
think?
the next image here, this is typically what you're going to be seeing on a package these days, where it's going to tell you how many watts the light bulb gives and what it is compared to your traditional light source. So for now, you still see this sort of thing on packages. However, you can look at what's called the lighting facts label, which we'll give a link to at the end of this broadcast.
Oh, I think we actually printed that off.
We did.
Yeah.
It's at the end, and it's going to be on every box. This is actually an LED box.
It's like nutrition facts.
It's like nutrition
that's
facts. It's exactly that.
fantastic.
This is a Department of Energy label, and
I
it
love it.
is an independently qualified testing that allows you to put this together. So it's not brand name specific. It is a very generic thing, and what it tells you is how many lumens the product has. In this particular case, this happens to be a reflector type lamp. and it has 1,200 lumens. It will tell you your estimated annual energy cost savings based on, this particular one is 3 hours a day and 11 cents per kilowatt hour, which is a little high for our area, but it gives you kind of a sense of what's going on there. It will tell you your estimated life based on operating at 3 hours a day, which is not uncommon for residential use. This particular lamp is a 25,000 hour lamp, which is pretty long for an LED, considering an incandescent source maxes out at, well, the halogens are about 3,000 hours. The incandescents are 750 to 1,000 hours.
Wow.
So it's really, these last 25 to 50 times as long in an open fixture. Once you put it in an enclosed fixture, they overheat and it will not last as long. But it also, at the bottom, will tell you your wattage and your color temperature. So if you know that, if you can see that.
Sure, warm and cool, and it's got a little slider. Oh, isn't that perfect?
Oh, so it's at 270 Kelvin, so it's on the warmer side.
Yes, this is on the warmer side, so it's meant to replace a halogen lamp.
The lumens, what's the LM on the bottom?
LM79 and LM80 are the standardized testing that the Illuminating Engineering Society came out with. They said, if you are going to publish metrics on your lamps, this is how you test your lamps. And it's not a pass-fail, it's just a metric. This is how you are to perform your testing. So what they do is they say you have to test it in situ, which means in the type of environment that you plan on using it. So you can't have mucked up data by having a manufacturer screw in a light bulb and blow a fan on top of it. You have to operate it at the temperature that's actually going to operate on, because the LEDs don't like heat, and they will actually not last as long if they're overheating. So if you were to blow a fan on it, you can muck with your manufacturer's data. So by complying by these two testing, you know that it's independent.
Oh.
Non-biased testing.
I love it. So much good information.
So do the amount of lumens go with your Kelvin scale, or are they separate?
Totally separate measurements.
So why would you want more lumens? You want more light, but at a lower temperature?
Let's make this similar to buying a T-shirt. Okay. So you're going to decide. Whether you want a copper shirt or any shirt. You want cotton shirt, silk shirt, polyester, for different reasons. How are you going to wear it? Where are you going to wear it? What are you going to do with it? So that's going to be similar to whether I choose halogen, incandescent, LED, fluorescent. Okay. So that's going to be the material. Okay. Now let's pick out your size.
Oh, small.
That's going to be your lumen package.
Oh.
So how much of that item do you need? Then you've got color temperature. That's the color of your shirt. There are 3 different metrics for what it is that you're deciding to purchase for different reasons.
Right. Okay, so.
And let's just say, have you ever worn 2 different blacks next to each other? These are both black, right?
Yeah,
would you call them the same black?
Oh, no, mine's blue. Yours is
right.
Black, mine's blue.
That's your color temperature and your color rendering. So color temperature tells you that it's a white light source, but which light? Which white is it that you want? And that's why when you go into a facility and you see a light that may be shifted pink or yellow or blue, those are all white light sources, but they're different color temperatures.
Oh. Okay. So,
It's a lot to consider when you're thinking about lighting.
It is. And that's why, you know what, when you're a consumer in the store, they basically give you 2 color temperature options, which bugs me because I know what I want.
Yeah, either hot
but
or cold.
yeah, you get warm, you either get the 2700K area or you get up into the 5000K. So there isn't a whole lot of tweaking on a residential scale, but there are, gosh, it was 4 years ago when the first lamp from Philips was introduced. They got the L Prize for matching exactly what a 60-watt incandescent would do. And then it took about a year and a half, year or so, to get a 75-watt equivalent. Now we have hundreds, and I think we even have up to 150-watt equivalents, but it took 5 years to get there.
Yeah, don't you carry that around your purse?
I used to. The TSA did not like the light bulb in my purse. They're like, what is this? Yeah. Which brings us to, when you were looking at LED lights, there was a comment that you had earlier today about, it's heavy. Why is it so heavy?
Oh, right.
And so the reason why they're heavy is LEDs do not like heat. So there's usually a heat sink in them that will compensate for dissipating that heat. Now, those are both LED sources, and you can tell they're heavier without even having an incandescent in your hand. You know it's a heavier source.
They feel like ceramic?
You know what? It might actually be aluminum.
Aluminum, okay.
Because aluminum is very often used as the heat dissipation device for LEDs.
Now, do these have the motors in them?
Those do not have a fan in them. There are what's called convection cooled, which means that it works by, it produces heat and therefore sucks air into it automatically. And the air is pulling in through the front of that lamp.
Here?
Yep.
Okay.
And across the back side of the lamp, which you don't see. But there are vent holes in the back of that lamp. So if this one is actually rated for use in an enclosed fixture, but many of them are not. And sometimes they're dimmable and sometimes they're not. So if you're going to switch over, you want to make sure that you know what you're getting as far as that goes. Very often, an LED replacement lamp will have fins on the outside, and they look decorative, like this one, but they're actually, it's a heat sink. I don't know if you can.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, so the more area, it's like when you have chunks of ice, if you have a big chunk of ice, it takes a while for that to melt. But if you have little crispy bits of ice, because there's more surface area, like slush, it will melt faster than big chunks of ice. So they're trying to create more surface area across the back of this so it cools faster. And you can tell that they're actually swirled so that the convection cooling works with that lamp.
Looks like a fan blade, sort of.
That's wild. You know, because like actually where I live, and I might go over that later, we actually put our roof on that way. You know, because a lot of roofs don't have any vents, any heat vents in them. If you ever look at them, it just holds all that heat in there.
Yep, and that's good for moisture too.
Yeah, so the whole roof is like has a lining like this that comes up, and then it lets all the heat escape out of the roof. Because otherwise, your roof will just rot.
Yeah.
It only has life expectancy of maybe 5 years instead of, you know, whatever. But that's, but that definitely. Let's see.
So what was our next slide here? Where were we going with that?
I think these.
Okay, so we're looking at some LED lamps here, and these two that we're looking at are made to replace an A lamp, or what's called, it's called an A lamp. It's basically a general distribution type of lamp. The one on the left, though, has more light coming out of the top of it, so it doesn't exactly replicate an incandescent light source. Whereas the one on the right, that one would distribute light very equivalent to your typical incandescent. So sometimes when you look at different types of LED light bulbs, if you see that heat sink on the bottom, if you can intuitively know that it's blocking some of the light, it might not be the right application for your device depending on what you're lighting, whether it be a table lamp or a pendant. So if you see shadowing and such in a fixture once you've replaced the light source, it could be just that particular light bulb.
Oh. So, by the way, whenever she's talking about lamps, she's actually talking about light bulbs. Lamps is the technical term that they use for lighting. So we say light bulbs, they say lamps, and then I guess a lamp is a host to them. I don't know. So
it's a fixture. It's a fixture.
Okay.
She's like, is that what you picked up at a class?
So the next type of light bulb that you might have in your house, this is a reflector type of light bulb. I call them soft bulbs, and they're different from a halogen in that they don't deliver crisp white sparkly light. It's nice and soft and diffused, which might be something more of what you want in your living room. If your living room, if you see pools of light with the hard edge of the beam, that's going to be your halogen, what's called a parabolic reflector lamp. This one is going to be more of your soft bulb face, which looks like this. This is an LED version of that, as opposed to a reflector type version that is a little bit flatter. This is going to be a little bit sparklier in color, in quality.
Because I know a lot of people think like they want to have like that, you know, the reflector lamp on, you know, like you know what I mean, the one that looks like crystallized on the bottom instead of like the frosted, you know, because they feel like, you know, it's going to do this and that. But we actually went to the Madison Lighting Company, and if you put that like on, what was it, marble or sparkly, you know, I mean, it can, old people will trip.
This, well, that's funny. Okay, so what he's talking about, okay, so this type of light bulb gives you really great sparkle. So if you have a granite countertop with a lot of bits of quartz in it and you really want to show that off because you paid for it and you want to see that, this flatter type of light source is not going to pick up that sparkle, but it won't be as glary on your eyes. So there's a pros and cons of each of these, right? So this kind will pick up that sparkle, but if it is a dark glossy surface such as a black marble, this is actually going to reflect as a mirror off of there. And if you have a floor that's glossy like that, it can be a trip hazard for people with poor vision.
Oh, they really trip. I thought you meant they trip as in like they freak out over it.
Oh,
yeah, right. It did kind of sound like that. No, but it is any for people with poorer vision, if you have a light floor with a dark mat on it, it looks like a hole or a trip hazard. Like they can't discern what that is. And also with this, if you have a bright hole in the floor, they will think that there's an object there that they might trip over. So they, and you know, maneuvering around something is kind of a big deal as you get older, you know, as opposed to just stay on course.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah. So you don't want to create any unnecessary hazards for people.
So then you'd recommend the frosted lamp.
Correct. Yeah. Or a not glossy surface. For a situation with poor vision, I would go with a not glossy floor.
Right. And then what was the other? Okay. Well, we'll just go on.
Where are we next?
Some reflectors.
Yep, reflectors.
Oh, okay. So these are halogen lamps. So you can see that these are actually very different than what it was I was just showing you from looking at the shape. But what happens with a halogen lamp is the optics are in front of the light bulb and behind the light bulb. So you have a reflector in the back, and then you have the filament source in the middle, which is the halogen source. And then on the front, you might have more optics. The light bulb on the left is actually a flood because it has all those little dots in it. The one in the upper right is a spot because it does not have the dots. So you can kind of tell the difference between your beam spreads on that. It will say on the box, but if you happen to have one laying around and you need to replace it, it's good to know. Now, on the back side of this light bulb, if I may steal your sheet here, you can see that it, oh well, not too closely anyway, all the light bulbs are going to have a name on it of what they are as far as the wattage and the beam spread and the type of light source it is. And it does take a little bit of reading to understand what it is that you see on that label, and that's something that we're learning in class. But it usually goes wattage first, and then whatever the shape of the lamp is, and then the size of the lamp, and then how the color rendering is, and then the color temperature, and then after that would be the beam spread. So there's quite a bit of information on the back of a light bulb. They tend to dumb it down for residential, so it might just say, for an incandescent, it would say 100 A19 IF, which is an incandescent light bulb that distributes light generally in whatever direction, in all directions, 100 watt. The shape is called an A because it's arbitrary. It's the first shape that was invented by Edison and colleagues. It's 19/8 of an inch across, which is what's interesting. Light bulbs are measured in 1/8 of an inch across.
Really?
Yes. So 19 means 19/8 of an inch. This is an MR, multi-reflector 16. It's 2 inches across, because it's 16/8 of an inch. So this is called a 16, this is called a 38, this is called a 20, because this is 1 1/4 or 2 1/4 inches. Yeah, so it's really interesting how we have these metrics, but that is how they're measured. So if you see something that says a T8, that's a tubular 1 inch cross lamp, and it's a fluorescent source for that. So that's very common in commercial interiors now.
I wanted to hit on real quick, what are some of the problems that people see in their homes? You know, like they're like, why do my lights keep burning out? Why do my lights keep burning out in the kitchen? Is it because they have a halogen light in there and it gets too hot and then they burn out quicker? Or what light bulbs can't handle the heat and they shouldn't be in a heat source room? Or, you know, or they put them in the bathroom and they're wondering, like, my lights keep burning out. I don't understand. They're supposed to last for, 30 years. Right?
Well, any light source that has peripheral, well, any sort of equipment in it, like an LED or a compact fluorescent, and it still has that screw-in base, when you put it in an enclosed fixture, it's going to overheat whatever's operating that. In a fluorescent, it would be a ballast. In an LED, it would be the driver and the LED board assembly. So you are not going to see projected life for either of those light sources in an enclosed fixture. LEDs will actually last longer if they're in cold areas, which is interesting. Halogens will burn out when they get a really fast hit of electricity, when the current is hitting it fast. So dimming halogens and incandescents makes them last longer. Even if you just get a dimmer that pops down like 10%, you can increase the life quite a bit with a halogen.
That's a great tip.
So do you have to make sure that these lights are dimmable? You know, because like pretty much all like incandescent lights are dimmable.
Correct. Incandescent and halogen, yes.
So, so like a halogen light wouldn't work well on a three-way switch because it would get hit with the volts of energy real quick, right?
Oh, you could do that. You can do it. It just it's the same with incandescent. They just tend to burn out quicker on a switch over a dimmer.
Okay. Well, like now with what light sources shouldn't go in like your kitchen over a stove?
Oh, because of the temperature?
Correct.
Well, you can use LED. I would say that because of the not proximity, I'm not concerned about that application. Where I'd be concerned about using LED because of heat would be a sauna. You'd never want to use it in a sauna, or a greenhouse, or your attic where it might get overly hot. In fact, area lights for exterior in Arizona, they don't recommend those operating during the day because that 90-degree temperature will actually derate the life. And that's true at night too, when you have the 90 degrees overnight. That's not an issue in our climate so much. But for retail, I often say if you have a southern-facing window where you're doing displays and it's not ventilated, which is quite often, so you'll have it fully enclosed with a track light in there, that's a bad application for an LED because it's going to overheat in there.
Oh. Huh. Well, we have one more slide that we could do, and this just shows like the different, like what you can do with color temperatures.
Oh, this is the lighting facts label.
Oh, well,
Yep.
okay. Well, if you have any questions, this actually breaks it down into complete layman's terms. I think it'd probably be a real easy read, and then if you have any questions, I mean, just talk to, call Madison Lighting Company. I mean, I don't know, I was there. They seem nice and know what they're doing.
What's interesting is that the big box stores typically have lighting specialists in their lamp department now because there's so many to choose from. It's so confusing. They can see the consumer go in there and go, deer in headlights, what do I pick? There are too many choices. And it's different from when I was here 2 weeks ago. Why is this one better? Why is this one cost less? What is the difference between these? And so ask the staff there. They're typically pretty well educated on these now because they have to be.
Right. Like even if you're asking like if something's like compatible to, for your light for your microwave, or because they say you can use this or this now, or because I know I was changing out the light in my microwave and it said that I needed this other like, it was like I think a compact fluorescent light or something in there. And so I was asking the guy, but don't be afraid to ask questions. There are no dumb questions, especially about light bulbs because they change so fast and all the time. So it's kind of like asking about the stock market. You don't know. Who knows, right? So ask. I would like to thank Ingrid. Thank you so much
for having
coming on the show.
It was fun being here.
We learned a lot.
I know, we could like go on for days about
could.
lights.
We might have to do a second episode.
So did you get anything out of it, Lisa?
Oh my gosh, so much. I'm changing my bathroom vanity tomorrow.
You're like,
Just rip it down, honey.
Yeah, you're like,
weekend project for you.
I've got an idea. He's like, oh, okay. But anyway, well, thanks for tuning in. Next time, hopefully Laura will be here. If not, I will have another special guest. so yeah, check us out on Facebook at The Home Extension. And if you want to get a hold of Ingrid, get a hold of her at Enterprise Lighting, especially like engineers for commercial use. That's pretty much what she does. Maybe I'll see you at the Badger game this weekend, but this will air after that, so maybe I saw you.
Thank goodness Badgers won.
Yeah.
So take care and make good choices, okay?